my dad had a CB in his car, like most people did at that time. And that to me was the closest that I could get to being on the radio. And my dad was also a ham radio operator. So I would sit there and watch him in the basement talking on the radio. And I listened to the CB when we were in the car. And I was like, wow, that's pretty close to talking on the radio. So I talked to the truckers on 94. I grew up in Roseville. We got 94 and 696 right there. So I would sit there and talk to these truckers and act like I was doing a radio show. And
That's awesome.
hindsight, it was probably completely unsafe.
I was like, what handle did you? Yeah, what handle did you use? Do you remember your handle? Come on.
Wild Thing.
Wild Thing. Come on. That's perfect. Wild Thing. I love it. It's fitting. I mean, you could use that as a nickname. You could have Goose and Wild Thing. That'd be an interesting name for a title. Who knows?
Actually, I had a boat, and my boat, it was called Wild Oats because my ex-husband's nickname was Oats.
Right.
And we took Wild Thing and came up with Wild Oats. So it stuck with me well beyond the CB years.
So it's one thing to be a fan of someone on the radio and be fascinated with the CB, a.k.a. radio, but tell me how and when and why did you pursue a career in radio? Because that's a big leap. Even there's a lot of fans of radio, very few go into the business.
Honestly, I had always been interested just, in the broadcast aspect of it. I thought it was pretty cool. My dad took me to cartoons on Gratiot, and they were doing a live broadcast out there. 102.7 was broadcasting out there. And so I didn't know that aspect of it. I just wanted to go because the radio station was there. And to see the old trucks with was that the Marty unit? What was that thing called?
Yeah, the Marty unit. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. To see that and see the DJs communicating with the board op in the studio and it sounding awesome and seeing them in person, it was so overwhelming cool. I was like, I have to do this. I want to do this. And so from that point on, I knew I always wanted to get into broadcasting. I would say that it was probably since I was about 12 years old, I knew I wanted to get into something like that. I really enjoyed English. Obviously, that goes hand in hand. I liked writing. I was in a lot of speech classes in school. So it was just, it was all kind of natural. A love of music, of course, doesn't help or doesn't hurt.